Wobble, wobble, wobble. It's better. Morning, chaps, chapesses. Martin Shave Tests. It's the Ides of March. It's the 14th of March. So unlucky if you're Julius Caesar and you're going to the Senate today, but otherwise, okay. Anyway, bit of a different one. I've got a razor which needs honing. I've also got a combat hatchet or tomahawk that also needs honing. So here's the lovely little razor. That's the one I gold plated. The little panel was rather dirty and missing. So that is rather nice. That is a Kapitol. It's German, of course, naturally, Solingen. It came from Sustainer Shaves. It came from James, who has very modest, very reasonable prices on his lovely razors. Anyway, this one had obviously a dead edge because I had restored it and I had buffed it. However, it has now been on a 3K professional, and I'll show you the case if I can find it. Yeah, the Nanoar 3K professional, my favourite stone, but it's passed all the tests. As you can see, it's oh my goodness me, yes, yeah, that's fine. So the bevel has been set. The interesting part now is this fellow. This is very similar to what was used in a film which I rather admired with Jason Statham in it the other day. And I thought, do you know what? There's a fight scene in that. Very nice. It's called The Beekeeper. And in the fight scene, Jason Statham has to go against a armed response gentleman carrying one of these. I bought this ages back. It had a very, very good, what I call a knife sharp edge, but it didn't have a razor sharp edge. And to do that takes a lot of work. So I used a diamond plate to reset the bevel, the initial bevel. I then used this strange King Deluxe stone. This is a Chinese stone. It's a 1K. It absorbs water like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, I've gone from that. I'm now happily saying it's gone on to, if you can look at the swarf on that. Woo! Yeah, that's your 3K Nanoar, which of course I use the old pencil test and a diamond hone plate to flatten. So that's done. So we'll put this one to dry. Now we're going to go on to a 5K. I love 5K. Everybody likes 5K. So this stone, I'll just check that it's flat. I'm sure it's not bad, but let's just check. Nearly flat. I must have used it hard last time. You do every now and then, not every single honing, but you do need to check that your stones are flat. That's why I'm rather hot today, because I've been doing an awful lot of honing. Right, that is now flat. I didn't contaminate the stone, you'll notice. You wash the stone, well, not the stone, but you certainly wash the diamond plate and make sure you don't contaminate your next stone. Not a good idea. So that's clear. Next stone will be an 8K. Anyway, let's see what happens with this little fella. Oh no, let's be polite. 5K razor. I rather thought today I wouldn't use anything other than my own hands for judging. Of course, you get a slightly better feel. Well, usually a slightly better feel, I find. So that is just making sure we get some of the residual scratches or striations from the 3K. I'm sure this will be a lovely little razor. It's a 5/8 Kapitol, and it had a few little faults with it which I just couldn't bear. because I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to finish on nice razors. Anyway, I think that will be sufficient for the 5K. You can see there's a nice grey darkening of the slurry, so yeah, I'm going to call that okay. Here's a little tip if you need one, because I'm no expert, which is even with cold water, the worst is warm water, but even with cold water, do try and make sure that the blades you're working on are dry. This is a carbon steel blade, probably 1940s, 1950s, I'm guessing. And the last thing I want is to, after I've done all that work, is to start any incipient rust. So I'm going to put that one down on a nice clean piece of tissue. And I'm now going to go onto the tomahawk and see if we can do the same for that. Very tricky to hold. You have to be quite careful how you judge the angle if it's not a razor. That's why I took a long time removing the initial grind, because although it was quite deeply hollow ground, the factory in China had obviously, this is, yes, Chinese, and it's stainless steel. Ugh. Anyway, the factory in China had been very, very clever in giving it what I term a machine bevel. So it had a deep bevel, and then for the final edge they used some sort of clever concave buffing device. So it fools you because it makes it's knife sharp. I mean, you could fillet your fish or whatever with it, but it's not razor sharp. There's a huge difference between a sharp knife and a sharp razor. But look, nice lot of swarf. There's no guarantee this is going to work in regard to the shave, which I intend to do, for the simple reason that we're on very strange ground here. This is not a knife. This is not a hatchet like Johann used. I would recommend. What a wonderful experiment that Johann did. Anyway, this isn't a Swedish steel hatchet. This is a Chinese stainless steel combat tomahawk. And the only combat this one's going to see is combating the stubble on my face. But I think that's a reasonable attempt. So that's your 5K. Yeah, it's a reasonable shine. Not quite happy. Let me do a little bit more. So difficult to approximate without tape or without a guide of any sort. But after a little while you get to feel the angle for things. I think this one's fine. So I'm going to call that, even though it's a very big smiley blade, but I'll call that 5K finished. Let's just make sure the edge is still good. Yeah. Ooh, that's grabbing my nail. If it grabs your nail, it's pretty good. Yep. Oh, yes. So we have a rather nice, sharp, to this degree of sharp, combat tomahawk. Okay. Now, final stone, final synthetic stone. Just wash off any traces of metal swarf off my lovely 5K. And to the 8K. And this is a rather nice stone actually. I've always been very fond of this. This originally it's a nanoir snow white, known as the Jayon Paku. Some people like them, some people don't. Personally, I've never had any problems. I think it's a bloody lovely stone. As you can see, extraordinarily white. Make sure that it's flat. Nope. That's better. No pencil lines. So we know we have a nice flat stone. Right, let's go back to the razor. And we'll bring this one to 8K. I think what I'll do is, just to prove a point, I'll kill the edge. So let's kill the edge, just to prove it. Yep, that can no longer even cut a tomato. If the camera angles are a bit weird, do forgive me. I've been doing a lot of sweaty work today. Anyway, let's put the edge back. What I love with the 8K, any of the pale stones, is the amount of rather gratifying swarf that comes up. Look at that. Almost straight away, a lovely deep grey. So I don't think we'll need very many strokes to get the edge back. If I was to guess, as I only killed it once on the edge of the stone, I'd say a dozen laps, which is probably what we are now. Look at that glorious colour. Isn't that lovely? That shows that it's working. Right. Oh, this is fun. It's better than being stuck in my workshop doing work for strange Russian clients. Anyway. Oh, blimey. No. It needed a little bit more on the toe. So, let's just slightly increase the pressure on the toe. The heel is fine. The centre of a blade is always fine. I don't know why, but it always is. But I think we just needed that little tiny bit more on this lovely 8K stone. It's the Snow White. Let's see how that now looks or feels. Nail test is irrelevant now because it's bloody sharp anyway. Grab. Yep. I'm still going to give it a couple more strokes. It's no good going from a relatively coarse stone to a finishing stone unless you're happy. And we all want to be happy. This, I think, will now be happy. Isn't that lovely? Metal everywhere. Yep. No! Just the very tip. Isn't that strange? Sometimes you can be fooled. That's why we need little tests. And I find the baby tomato test is a rather refined test. If I was as hairy as some of my friends, who I think are simian and probably swing from the trees when they're not honing razors, I would be able to use my arm hair, but I don't have enough. Never did. Chest hair, yes, all the rest, but arm and leg hair, no, I'm deficient. So instead, I prefer the tomato test, which I think is the better test. Right. Let's try one more time. Oh yeah, baby. Yep. It's strange, isn't it, how you can find the edges absolute perfection in most of the blade, and there's always going to be a couple of areas where it's not. I'm never too bothered really about the heel, but as we do so much shaving with the middle of the blade and the toe of the blade, you really do need the toe to be absolute perfection. Now I'm pretty certain this is. It's strange how it went by degree. Perfect in the middle, very good near the end of the toe, but right on the very end, no. Oh blimey, yeah, that's it, that's got it. Right, so there we go, there's a full progression. I'm now going to use the tomahawk on the lovely white, Snow White 8K. Ooh, it's sticking, that's nice. That's a good sign. Nice sticky blade. It'll be amazing if I can get the entire length of this tomahawk blade, which is very, very, very smiley. It's a very curved blade. But I'm hoping that every single part of the edge will be sufficiently sharp to do a good shave. Do forgive me with the camera angles. Oh, and do forgive my strange antics. If you saw my last video, I was trying to keep warm. I used to like going to the gym and using the weights properly. But when the COVID thing hit, two things happened. One, everybody started wearing face masks in a gym. And the other thing was some of the louts, especially from Bognor, who used to go to this lovely gym. I liked Spit and Sawdust gyms. It was a proper gym. But unfortunately, they'd hand their tapes into the little control centre and they play angry rap. And I really don't like it. So a lot of the people in there, including some of the really nice girls, they would go in with earphones on so they wouldn't have to listen to their bitch being slapped upside the head. Anyway, that should do. And that's the reason why, to keep warm in this horrible spring weather, I tend to do a few bodyweight exercises, which I would recommend to anybody. For a simple reason, some of the greatest athletes and greatest fighters have used body weight rather than weights. You don't always need weights. I'll get a nice shine on this now. This is going to be such a bloody good fighting tomahawk. I'd like to see Jason Statham take this off me. In the film he did. In real life, no. The tomahawk is quite underrated, in my opinion. Yeah. Can you see? It's getting a good shine. Do I kill the edge? I don't know. It's perfect. Shall I kill it? Yeah. All right, I'll kill it. Here we go. Lightly. I've done an awful lot of work on this. Yeah, dead. One stroke on the edge of the stone and you have killed your edge. The most delicate thing that a lot of people don't understand, other than us shavers, is that the most delicate item on the planet isn't the wings of a butterfly, it's the edge of a razor. If you're silly, and I have been, if you're silly and you do things like cutting paper with a razor's edge, you've just buggered the edge. It will not be sufficiently sharp to cut hair properly. Now, I've got no guarantee, as this is strange Chinese stainless steel, of what degree of hardness it is. So this is fundamentally an experiment. But I'm a firm believer almost any steel can be brought up to razor's edge if you hone it properly. Let's hope that I'm honing it properly. I hope so. Anyway, it'll make a change to shave with one of these. Johann's shave was spectacular, but it was a big hand axe, Swedish hand axe, or hatchet, the correct term. And he put a lot of work in, and I can second that. I've put a lot of work in on this little devil. Let's see. It wasn't many strokes, but let's see if it's brought the edge back. On the nail, ooh, perfect. On the tomato, adequate. Yeah, adequate. Not as good as you'd expect. Not quite as good as the rather nice little Kapitol 5/8 Kapitol German razor. I'll just give it a couple more strokes. This is getting a rather delicious shine to the blade, which I'm rather proud of, actually. One side more than the other. If you wonder why one side has a larger amount of shiny steel showing, it's because the grind wasn't very good from the factory. These were only meant to be used mostly for camping or for possibly self-protection. But there must be states all over the world where you might be allowed to carry something like this in the right circumstances in the woods. But other places, like in Britain, if you got caught with this in the street, I think you'd be a guest for a short while of His Majesty in one of His Majesty's fine establishments. Never mind. Do you know, that's enough. The amount of slurry on that. Swarf slurry, rather. Right, last test, then we'll go to a finisher. No, it needs a little more on the heel. Just a little tiny bit more. And then we'll be done. So, I'm not going to bore you any longer, because what I'd like to do is to give a final finish on both the razor and the hatchet. Probably, I haven't made up my mind, probably on a natural stone. I'm rather tempted to use a lalloon. If not, a coticle. My hearty congratulations to young Sean, who's actually done a marvellous job of his last video, which I've just watched, which was shaving off an edge using his small coticle. And oddly enough, it's exactly the same size of small coticle that Gary very kindly lent me. You don't need a huge stone. Coticles are very forgiving. Anyway, that's the Snow White, beautifully cleaned. I do happen to have here a lalloon, and this lalloon, you might as well use it. I've already brought up a modest slurry on it, because I flattened it with the diamond plate. Do a little bit more. The joy of natural stones is, again, you can use smaller stones rather than the giant stones like the big Nanoa professionals. So I'm going to, oh no, let's try the razor. Just a few gentle strokes. Because that's probably about the same. It's probably about, that's probably about an 8K slurry anyway. More interested to see what it does with the tomahawk. I might well put more effort on stropping than I normally do, but I would say that's probably pretty good. If I'm out of frame, I do beg your pardon. Let's move this stupid phone. I've got a birthday coming up. I really would like to have a better phone, but anyway, I spend all my money on these things. Stones will last you a lifetime, and you can pass them on to the next generation. I think it'd be very, very difficult to actually wear out a fine natural stone. I was very pleased with this. It's not quite as good as I'd like, but it's not bad. I'm now watering down the slurry, just as you do with the coticle. This is now, be very, very careful now. It's a very good way to ruin your edge. I think I will insist rather on giving this a good proper stropping. Let's see what it's done. About the same. Oh yeah, it's pretty good on the nail test. Nope. A little bit more as usual. A little bit more on the toe. So this will be a natural edge, as it will on the razor. What an interesting comparison shave to compare this stainless steel Chinese made combat tomahawk to a proper razor. Anyway, oh Lord above, 25 minutes. You're all gonna go away because you'll be bored to death. I don't blame you. Right, last couple of strokes on this lovely natural laloon, just underwater now. Sorry, I got all the angles wrong today, and I think from now on the laloon isn't, I don't think the laloon is as good as a coticle. I really don't. It's getting sticky. Yeah, that's pretty sticky. I'll call that it. I'm going to dry this blade. I've got great hopes for this. I do love German blades. And that's a bloody beautiful blade now. I'm hoping it'll shave as well as it looks. Let's just try one more test. See if I've got the toe right on this thing. Nope. No. Overconfidence. In fact, I might have to rethink the finish on this tomahawk edge. It's so difficult to approximate the correct angle. I really am struggling with this. I put a lot of work into it. Very difficult. There's something glinting on that edge. I'm not too sure. It's not bad. It's just not. It's not as good as a razor. Just show you a little more fine detail, if I may. As you can see, I'm using my forefinger to brace against the side of the blade, and when I reverse the blade I'm using my thumb. Basically you're trying to keep exactly the same angle, and that ain't easy. I'm not even convinced that stainless steel gets on too well with a laloon. I don't really appreciate stainless steel. Oh no, that's got it. No, there you go, look. Whee! Whee! Shave ready. Okay chaps, the next little video hopefully will be me shaving with them. So thanks for bearing with me this rather extended video. I do apologise, but I thought I'd show something different for a change. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.